Hey guys, I'm Paige. I'm going to be giving you overviews for all of the 5th grade fall lessons. So this one is, we're going to talk about the 5th grade fall week 2, so it's your first lesson. And it's a really great one to start with because it'll be a lot of your first times interacting with your new students or your classes because you've just been in for observations and this is the first time you're actually teaching them. So this one's all about the water cycle. It's quite an easy experiment, but the words involved with the water cycle can be really complicated. And even for 5th graders, I think as a 5th grade TA, sometimes we overlook their capabilities. Like they're definitely capable of a lot, but sometimes they don't know as much as we expect them to. And like a lot of them know what the water cycle is, but can't explain the terms or know the process that it goes in. So it's really important that you get those fundamentals down and those big words like condensation, evaporation, precipitation, they need to know. So the experiment, I have a couple tips for y'all. The experiment, all it is you will be taking, after explaining the process, it helps to, if you have a whiteboard, draw it out. If you have a document camera, draw it out on a piece of paper with the arrows so that they can see the flow and see that it's a cycle. Emphasize that a cycle never ends and this is always happening. It's continuous. You can talk a little bit about how in LA we don't experience a lot of rain. I'm from a place that does have a lot of rain, so I was able to connect it. Different weathered areas of the country experience the cycle a little bit differently. But so after you've explained all the terms, make sure they have all the terms written in their journals. Then you're going to be using Ziploc bags to have them draw with Sharpies. My students always really like to use colorful Sharpies. A lot of them have their own in their classroom, which is fine. You might get some in your bag too. Sometimes it refers to just black, but let them color, let them be creative if they want to, since it is a simpler task. And then the experiment calls for hot water. However, hot water is hard to transport, and a lot of people don't necessarily have hot water in their sinks. Like my school never had hot water, so I learned, after doing it for 2 years, I learned that regular water works just fine. Just make sure there's enough window space cleared, and obviously asking the teacher too. But it was really great. After they've drawn their bags, we would just line up at the sink and each one of them would fill it to a certain line. And then if you tape them against the windows, it gets sunny enough that it does end up condensing and evaporating. And they drew a little line on their bag of where the water started, and then in the successive weeks that I came in, we were able to see that the water was evaporating. So it kind of requires improvising, and that's something to take note of during your observations. If the sink is accessible, then make sure that you can have hot water, and it's likely that it's not, so don't be intimidated. Regular water is totally fine. And then aside from that, the cootie catcher fortune teller thing is a nice option to supplement. You can always find coloring pages or drawing pages too. That was always a great activity, but the introduction at the beginning might take a little bit. And it's always a good idea to play a video at the beginning if you want to do the songs. Like when I was learning the water cycle, I remember I would always sing a song about it. So it's a great way to get those difficult words ingrained in their head, and don't be afraid to just repeat it 4 or 5 or 6 times so that they know those words.